What if the man who saved your life never really left your house? He didn't mean to fall in love that night. He only meant to save her. Rain was hammering the streets of Seattle, glassy reflections of red lights bleeding into puddles, when Ethan saw her standing at the edge of the bridge. Her dress was soaked through, her eyes fixed on the dark water below, hands trembling against the railing. He didn't think. He just ran. "Hey, don't do it!" His voice cracked through the rain. She turned, startled, mascara streaking down her cheeks. "Please," she whispered, "just go." But Ethan wasn't that kind of man. He stepped closer, rain hitting his jacket like bullets, heart pounding so loud it drowned the thunder. "You don't know me," he said, "but maybe that's a good thing, because I don't want anything from you except for you to step away from that edge." For a moment it felt like time stopped. The city behind them was still alive, horns, distant laughter, neon flickers from diners. But here it was only them. One man, one woman, and a choice that could end a life. She hesitated. Then her knees gave out. He caught her before she hit the ground, her sobs muffled against his chest. That was the night Ethan Carter met Lily Monroe, the night that changed everything. He didn't sleep after that. He thought about her face, the way her eyes looked like they'd already seen the end of the world. And for some reason, he couldn't let her disappear again. He found her a week later at a small coffee shop downtown, working behind the counter. When she saw him, she froze. "I didn't need saving," she said quietly. "Maybe not," he replied, "but I needed to." Something in that moment shifted. It wasn't love yet. It was something heavier, something unspoken. He came back every morning, always ordering the same thing: black coffee, 2 sugars, and a quiet smile. She started to laugh again, a soft, nervous laugh that made him feel like maybe saving her had somehow saved a part of him too. But there was something she wasn't telling him. He could see it in her eyes, a flicker of fear that never went away. Sometimes when the bell above the door rang, she'd glance over her shoulder like she was expecting someone. Sometimes her hands would shake so badly she'd spill the coffee. One night she called him. Her voice was trembling. "Ethan, someone's outside my apartment." He didn't even ask questions. He grabbed his jacket and drove through the rain, headlights slicing through the darkness. When he got there, the front door was cracked open, the hallway light flickering. "Lily," he called out. No answer, just the sound of footsteps above him. He climbed the stairs 2 at a time, heart pounding, breath short. When he reached her floor, he saw her, backed into a corner, tears streaming down her face. And standing across from her was a man Ethan had never seen before, eyes cold, voice low. "You think you can just disappear, huh?" the man growled. Ethan didn't think. He lunged in front of her, voice steady. "She's not alone anymore." The man's hand moved toward his pocket. Ethan lunged. A crash, a shout, a blur of motion. And then, silence. The man was gone. Lily was shaking, clutching Ethan's arm. "You shouldn't have come," she whispered. But he just looked at her and said softly, "Yeah, I know." She leaned into him, crying, the sound of distant sirens echoing down the street. And for the first time, he realized he hadn't just saved her life. He'd given away his own heart without even knowing it. But what neither of them knew was that the man would come back. And next time, he wouldn't be alone. The next morning, Ethan sat on the steps outside Lily's apartment, hands wrapped around a cold cup of coffee that had long stopped steaming. Police cars had come and gone. They'd taken her statement, asked questions, but their eyes said what their words didn't. Without proof, there was nothing they could do. Lily was inside, asleep for the first time in 2 days. Ethan watched the sunrise crawl over the skyline, the golden light fighting its way through the gray clouds. Seattle looked peaceful again, like nothing had happened, but he knew better. His phone buzzed. A text from his sister in Portland. "You okay? Haven't heard from you in a while." He started to type back, "Yeah, just busy," but stopped halfway. He deleted the words and shoved the phone back in his pocket. Because the truth was, he wasn't okay. He hadn't been since the night he met Lily. When she woke up, she found him still sitting there. "You didn't leave," she said softly. He smiled. "Didn't feel right." She sat beside him, wrapping her arms around her knees. "I used to think people only stayed if they wanted something," she said. Ethan looked at her for a long time. "Sometimes people stay because they can't walk away." They didn't say anything else for a while. The street below was waking up, buses sighing to a stop, a man walking his dog, the smell of bagels from the corner shop. For a moment, it felt almost normal. But by evening, that illusion shattered. Lily's phone rang while she was washing dishes. She froze when she saw the number. No name, just unknown caller. Her hands went cold. Ethan noticed immediately. "Who is it?" She didn't answer. She just let it ring until it stopped. Then a message popped up. A single photo. It was of Ethan, sitting outside her building that morning, taken from across the street. He grabbed the phone, heart slamming in his chest. "Who has this number?" No one," she stammered. "I changed it after I left him." "Lily, who is he?" Her lips trembled. "His name's Dean. He wasn't just my boyfriend, Ethan. He was dangerous. He had people, friends, who do things for him. I tried to leave when I found out what he was into." "What kind of things?" She looked away. "The kind that get people killed." Ethan felt the air drain from his lungs. He stood up, pacing, running a hand through his hair. "Okay, then we go to the police again. We tell them everything." "They can't protect us," she said, voice breaking. "He's already watching us." At that moment, a car drove by. Slow. Too slow. Tinted windows. Ethan's instincts screamed. He moved closer to the window just as the car turned the corner and disappeared. His phone buzzed next. A text from an unknown number. "You should have stayed out of it." The message was followed by another photo. Him and Lily together in the kitchen, taken just seconds ago. Ethan's blood went cold. He looked at her, trying to hide the fear in his voice. "Pack your things. We're leaving." "Where?" she whispered. He didn't know. He just knew they couldn't stay. They drove for hours, past the city lights through the endless rain-soaked highways of Washington. Lily leaned against the window, eyes half closed, whispering, "You didn't have to do this for me." He glanced at her. "Yes, I did." They ended up at a small roadside motel off Route 12. Flickering sign, one working vending machine, the kind of place no one would notice. He paid cash, no names. That night, as she finally fell asleep, Ethan sat by the window watching the rain hit the glass, replaying every choice he'd made since the night he saw her on that bridge. He had no plan, no backup, no guarantee they'd make it out of this. All he knew was that someone out there wanted them both gone. And as he stared at the reflection in the window, he realized they already knew where he was. The knock came just after midnight. Soft at first, almost polite. Then again, harder. Ethan froze. The motel room light was off, the only glow coming from the dull orange street lamp outside. He turned to Lily. She was still asleep, her breathing steady, unaware. The third knock wasn't a knock. It was a thud, a shoulder hitting the door. Ethan's pulse spiked. He moved quietly, grabbing the baseball bat he'd found behind the motel desk earlier, hands slick with sweat. The air felt too still, like even the rain had stopped listening. "Who is it?" he called out. No answer. Another thud. This time the chain rattled. Whoever it was, they were trying to break in. He motioned to Lily, whispering, "Get behind the bed. Don't make a sound." Her eyes snapped open, fear instantly replacing sleep. She didn't ask questions. She just moved. Ethan stood by the door, muscles coiled. He could hear breathing now, just on the other side. Then silence. He waited. 10 seconds. 20. Then a whisper. Right at the crack of the door. "You think you can hide her from me?" Dean, the voice from that night. Ethan's throat went dry. He stepped closer, heart pounding so loud it felt like it echoed in the walls. "Walk away," he said, his voice low. "You've already lost her." Dean laughed, a slow, cold sound. "I never lose, especially not to some nobody who doesn't know what he's dealing with." Ethan took a deep breath. He knew what would come next. The door crashed open. He swung. The bat connected with something solid. A grunt, a curse, a flash of movement. But there was another man behind Dean. Bigger, faster. Ethan barely saw the hit coming. He went down hard. The room spun, pain radiating through his ribs. Lily screamed his name. "Don't!" Dean shouted. "You take one step and he dies." She froze. Tears streamed down her face, her body trembling. Dean crouched beside Ethan, gripping his jaw, forcing his head up. "You think you're a hero, huh? You think saving her makes you different?" Ethan could barely breathe. Yeah, he rasped, because I actually love her. Dean's expression shifted just for a second. Then he hit him again. Love doesn't save anyone, Dean said coldly. It ruins them. He stood, motioning to the other man. Get her in the car. Lily screamed, struggling, kicking, her voice breaking. Ethan, please! He tried to move, tried to get up, but his vision was fading, his body refusing to listen. He heard the door slam, tires screech, and then nothing but the hum of the motel neon sign flickering in the rain. Ethan pushed himself up, every bone in his body screaming. Blood filled his mouth, but he didn't care. He stumbled to the window and saw the taillights disappearing into the dark highway. He wiped his mouth with the back of his hand, eyes burning. They had her. And no matter what it took, he was going to get her back, even if it meant losing what little was left of himself. Ethan's heart stopped. Mark, the one man he trusted, the one who'd promised to help him, was standing beside Dean, gun steady, eyes empty. "Mark," Ethan whispered, disbelief cracking through his voice. "What the hell are you doing?" Mark sighed, almost regretful. "You should have stayed out of this, Ethan. You walked into something you don't understand." Dean smirked, pacing slowly between them. "Your friend here has been on my payroll for a long time. Funny thing about loyalty, it always costs something." Ethan's jaw tightened. "So that's it? You sell your badge to a thug and call it survival?" Mark's expression faltered for just a second. "You think the world still plays fair?" Lily shifted in her chair, tears cutting through the dirt on her face. "Please, don't hurt him." Dean turned to her, his grin fading. "You should have learned by now, sweetheart. Every man who tries to save you ends up dead." Ethan stepped forward, slow, deliberate. "You talk too much." Dean's eyes narrowed. "You never know when to quit." The next moments happened fast. Ethan swung the bat, not at Dean, but at the hanging bulb above them. Glass shattered, plunging the room into darkness. Gunfire cracked. Sparks from the broken light flashed white across the room. Lily screamed. Ethan dropped low, crawling toward her, feeling for the ropes with trembling hands. Another shot tore through the air, the echo deafening in the metal walls. He could smell gunpowder, hear heavy breathing, footsteps shifting on gravel. "Ethan!" Mark shouted somewhere in the dark. "Don't make me do this!" Ethan found Lily's wrist, pulled the tape free, whispering, "Run when I say." She nodded through tears, shaking. Then a single beam of light cut through the dark. Dean's phone flashlight, glowing in his hand, sweeping across the floor. "Got you," Dean growled. Ethan didn't think. He lunged toward the light, tackling Dean hard into the concrete. The gun skidded across the floor, spinning out of reach. They fought in the flickering half-light, every hit raw and desperate. Dean was stronger, but Ethan was fighting for something more than survival. He was fighting for her. Dean grabbed his throat, pressing him down, fury twisting his face. "You really thought you could save her? She's mine." Ethan gasped, struggling, his hand groping for anything, and found the metal pipe beside him. He swung with everything he had. Once, twice. Dean collapsed. The flashlight rolled, its beam landing on his motionless face. Ethan staggered to his feet, coughing, blood in his throat. He turned toward Lily. She was free, sobbing, running to him. But behind her, Mark, gun raised. Ethan froze, staring down the barrel of the weapon. "Mark," he said quietly, "you don't have to do this." Mark's hands trembled, his voice broke. "You don't get it. I have to. He owns everything, my house, my family. If I don't finish this, then end him," Ethan said, nodding toward Dean's body. "Not us." Mark hesitated. 1 second, 2, then he lowered the gun. "I'm sorry," he whispered. Ethan nodded, relief washing over him, until Dean's hand twitched. A shot rang out. Mark fell first, then silence.
Ethan turned, eyes wide, seeing the gun in Dean's hand one last time, and the faint smile on his lips before he went still forever. The echo faded into the sound of rain on the roof. Lily dropped to her knees beside Ethan, tears streaming. "Stay with me," she begged, pressing her hand to the wound on his side. He looked at her, breathing shallow, a faint smile breaking through the pain. "You're safe now," he whispered. No, you don't say that. We'll get help, okay? Just hold on." His hand brushed her cheek, leaving a streak of blood. "I told you I'd save you," he said softly.